Okay, good morning, class. I just wanted to shoot you a quick message. You'll see this also in my announcement that today I had to kind of cancel, modify class, and modify the instruction of class just for something that came up. But I still wanted to give you guys some direction on some things that I would like you to accomplish. So we've been going through photography and we've been going through the principles and elements of design. We've also been talking about composition. We've been talking about using the photographic triangle. And then we've been trying to combine all of these things like rule of thirds and juxtaposition into how to create a great photo and how to accomplish creating dynamic images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a link to this one video, and it has 8 important tips for composition. And the next assignment actually is I'm giving you some prompts on some things to shoot. And I really want you to take the video and what you're watching, and then I want you to try your best to apply it into the assignment description. And you're going to be shooting many different things, different types, different categories. And I really want you, this is an attempt to get you to think outside the box a little bit and go, okay, how can I find subject matters? How can I do the things that will help me get a dynamic photo, other than obviously controlling your settings and getting proper exposure. Okay, this is going to also then lead us into the final project. We're pretty much, we have 2 weeks left, and the final project is you're going to be shooting a series of photos that represent yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the assignment description for this assignment that I'm talking about, where you're going to be shooting multiple objects. And then I'm also going to put an assignment description up that talks about writing a draft of what's called a designer statement. Okay. This designer statement is going to be a statement about yourself, a statement representing who you are as a designer, a statement that describes your motivations as a designer, a statement that describes the things that you're looking to do and the effect that you're looking to have on the world as a designer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you an example of a designer statement, and just so that you can get this idea of what's going on in the designer statement, what I'm looking for essentially. So give me 1 second as I pull that up. As I'm pulling this up, I'm going to remind you guys again of what you're going to be doing. Okay, so there's going to be 2 assignments. They're going to be listed there. In one assignment, you're going to have a video that I want you to watch first before you accomplish the assignment. And then in the other assignment, it's basically a precursor or a setup for the final assignment that we're going to have the next 2 weeks that we're working on the assignment. We're going to go over both of those things in class next week. So definitely try your best to be in class next week, because it's going to be that kind of final review that we have to go through everything that we've been talking about. Okay. So computer's definitely running a little bit slow. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of these designer statements, and I'm going to give you guys some direction on what I'm looking for you guys to do. All right, so we're taking a look at this screen, and what you see here is a compilation of 12 photos that describe this designer. And I'm going to scroll actually to the designer statement so you guys can see, and we'll talk more about this next week, but just so you get an intro of what the final project is. So her designer statement, she says, I'm an entry-level textile designer specializing in surface design and conventional prints. Let me zoom in a bit. Conversational prints for interiors and screen separating. And as a textile designer, I seek to fill the world with energy and color by creating aesthetically pleasing print patterns guided by pop culture and nostalgia. Based out of Los Angeles, I'm inspired by nature, color, and the harmony of organic man-made materials, and I strive to find color in whimsical patterns created by nature, recreating my findings by designing patterns for the everyday household. One day, I would like to work with a sustainable interior design brand and a head textile designer, bringing color back to the mainstream interior design. So I'm just gonna kind of stop there and explain a couple different things. In her designer statement, she is both specific and she also explains her philosophy in design. And I want you guys to do this with your designer statement. I would like you to explain what drives you as a designer, but also specifically what you look to do. Notice she used principles and elements of design in her description, in her intro. She continues to go on and explain the reasons why she designed, her background, and the things that have led her to get to the point as a designer that she is today. The point is in that you're in your language, you want to use colors, you want to use descriptive language that gives you something to think about and something to point your camera at. And what you're going to be doing is this series of 12 photos is not a chronological series of photos. Rather, it is a series of photos that represent things that you write. So the second homework assignment is going to be you prepping to do this. You're going to write a draft designer statement. That designer statement needs to be minimum 3 paragraphs. And then from that, you're going to try to take 3 shots that you think potentially maybe could be included in the final 12 that you're going to shoot. Everything is a test and we're working through it. And that's what you're going to turn in next week. But I'm going to show you her shots. And as you can see, here's our contact sheet. For this assignment, you're going to need to shoot about 100 photos and then parse it down to the 12 that you turn in. So you can see how her exploration in her shots. We're going to talk about printing photos, and we'll do all of that next week. But this is the final result. You're going to have a series of photos that represent yourself as a designer. I'm going to show you a very different one, very different vibe, and very different goal of the designer. This is an interior designer that starts by telling you what her color code is, the color code that represents her as a designer. As you go through, I'm just going to jump to her shots. What you can see is that her shots represent instantly that color code. These shots are very abstract, and that's the key thing with these shots that I'm going to be looking for the final project is that you shoot abstractly, that you tell a different story with whatever it is that you're shooting, and try to illustrate your words through images that aren't so descriptive, images that represent something that could be tied to something, maybe multiple things. But because of the words that you write, it locks down the image. And when you put it all together in a group, and I'll show you this student's work, she didn't include the grouped image. But when you put all these images together, you really get that designer statement. And both of these designer statements fit together and represent these designers in a good way. I'll put both of these examples in the files so that you guys can see this. But basically, you're going to be starting to prep towards this as your second assignment for this week. So because there's no formal class this week, I'm giving you these 2 assignments, and I want you to space out your time and work out your time and read through the assignments. Like I said, in the first one, it's called Create Shooting. I think it's like Creative Objects. I'm going to add a YouTube video that I would like you to watch. I would like you to absorb that video, maybe re-watch it again, and then go and attempt to shoot these creative shots. And then secondly, we're going to be starting our designer statement assignment, and I'm going to be listing the description for that assignment as well, and putting these examples, links to these examples in that assignment, so you can see what some other students have done as far as describing themselves, and then as far as the kind of shots that they've taken. Everybody should look a little bit different because it's going to be representative of you. If you have any questions about any of this, message me, and I'll get back to you and try to walk you through it. But I'm really looking forward to see what creative shots you come up with. We're really going for vibrant, creative, and dynamic shots, and I'm really trying to help you guys get there. So if you have any questions as you're shooting, please let me know, reach out to me, and I'll get back to you, and we'll chat soon. All right.